Come join us for part 2 of our Copenhagen weekend, where we climb some of the best viewpoints in the city and visit even more of their historical palaces. We explore the Danish food halls and local cuisine, and try new Nordic cuisine at a leading Copenhagen restaurant, plus show you around our amazing hotel at night, including a late night swim at their fabulous rooftop pool. So let's explore even more of this great city. So we started our morning with a stroll past the Carlsberg Glyptotek Museum and the closed Tivoli Gardens. Last day, and we've gone from 2 days ago sitting in the sunshine on the waterfront to it being a little bit Baltic today, but let's go have a wander and see what we can see, because that is pretty impressive. Slotsholmen, or Castle Island, was only a short walk from our hotel and is home to numerous historic buildings, but most notably Christiansborg Palace. The palace is home to the Danish Parliament, and some areas are open to the public. These include the royal reception rooms with the Great Hall, the ruins under the palace, the royal kitchens, and the royal stables, which is home to about 20 horses and their carriages for ceremonial events. You can purchase entry to any individual element, but can visit them collectively for 175 Danish kroner, which is roughly £20 British sterling or 24 US dollars. The palace is also home to the highest viewing tower in Copenhagen at 106 meters, which is free to visit and even has an elevator. We, however, chose to visit some of the open spaces, which were free of charge to the public. Though do note, if you visit any of the paid admission areas, you will need to pass through a security checkpoint, as still a seat of working government. There are still, though, many impressive hallways and courtyards to explore, which will still give you enough of a feel of this historic palace setting. You can easily spend more time exploring the island, with buildings including the Supreme Court, Historic Stock Exchange, War Museum and Royal Library. But the free public areas are impressive enough, including the most opulent gift shop ever. Passing through the inner courtyard to the front of the palace, on the left you will find entry to the tower, and Lorraine must have been hungry, as found the entrance to Tårnet, an upscale restaurant located high in the tower with great views just below the steeple. We still had a lot of ground to cover though, and many more sights to see, so took a left turn into the old part of town, crossing back over the waterway separating Slotsholmen from the rest of the city centre. Here we crossed Strøget, the cobblestone main thoroughfare, and much photographed Stork Fountain. We though continued on, as wanted to climb the more characterful and unique Rundetaarn, or Round Tower. Dating back to 1642, it may not be the tallest tower in Copenhagen, but is linked to the impressive Trinitatis Church. As the name suggests, the round tower is unusual in having this circular ramp that runs the majority of the way to the top, which was no less easy to climb, and although Christiansborg Palace Tower was higher, felt like taking their lift was cheating a little bit. Wow, definitely got a sweat on after that, but definitely worth it for the view. So although no shortage of towers to climb in Copenhagen, the Rundetaarn is by far the most characterful and costs 40 Danish kroner, which is about £4 sterling or 5 US dollars. And actually, from the top, you could quite easily miss this staircase. It actually brings you to the very dome of the Rundetaarn Tower, where it's actually an observatory. And during the winter months, between December and March, you can actually stargaze at the observatory, included in the cost of your admission, which takes place on Tuesday and Wednesday nights between 6 and 9 PM. We want to be doing this after a few gin and tonics.
Just roll down.
Suffice to say, going down was still considerably easier than going up, and still had many more sites to pack into our itinerary. So started our descent to head north to Rosenberg Palace. So couldn't help a cheeky peek out of one of the windows to get our bearings for the short walk. I definitely felt the burn after walking up here. So the Rundetaarn is the circular tower with no stairs, well, no, apart from the top. It's like this all the way up. And why is it like this? Because a lazy king decided he wanted to be able to ride his horse to the top. There is some debate to whether a Danish king did actually ride up the tower, but it is known that a Russian Tsar did, along with his wife, in a carriage afterwards. Where was that when we needed it at the bottom? Now, the youngsters here have a habit of running down this. We unfortunately are not. One, because after that climb up, I think we might have a cardiac arrest. And number two, I think we'll get so much momentum going, we might take somebody out at the bottom. We did, however, time our departure to perfection, catching the procession of the changing of the guard along with marching band as it headed from Rosenberg Castle to Amalienborg Palace. And make sure you check out part 1 of our Copenhagen series, where we visited Amalienborg Palace. But don't worry if you miss changing of the guard there at midday, as, like us, you may catch it as it passes through town after it leaves Rosenberg Castle at 11:30. And if it is accompanied by a marching band, it means that the royal family are in residence. We though pushed on a few streets further north, where you will find Rosenberg Castle. So, short walk from the Rundetaarn. We're now at Rosenberg Castle and the sun's come out for us. Perfect timing. So Rosenberg Castle, not Rosberg as I incorrectly pronounced, is yet another royal residence and dates back to 1606.
I won't let you in, babe. Don't I know you're a princess?
Set in the beautiful King's Garden, castle is surrounded by ornate gardens and moats, which you can stroll around to reach the entrance that's on the far side. Entrance fee to the castle itself is 140 Danish kroner, which is about £15 sterling or $18 US. We opted not to visit inside, however, the castle is the home to the Danish Treasury, the crown jewels of the Danish royal family, plus the ornate Knight's Hall. You can though get up close to the castle itself and explore the grounds at no charge. But we will put links in the description, as always, if of interest. So what a surprise, even more food on the menu, but we're now at Torvehallerne food hall as well, so go in and check out what they have on offer. This was only a short walk south from Rosenberg Castle, so unlike Tivoli Food Hall, which we visited in our first episode, Torvehallerne has much more of a farmer's market feel, with both eateries and stalls also selling produce, but will still be a delight for the foodies amongst you. So if you're enjoying this video, please remember to check out episode 1 of our Copenhagen video series, and we please ask that you hit that like and subscribe button. We really appreciate your support, and it helps us bring you even more videos like this in the future. What a surprise, the wife has sniffed out the gin bar. And if stopping off for a bite to eat, the smørrebrød, the traditional Danish open sandwich, were as popular as ever. So after a pit stop for something to eat, we took the metro 2 stops east to Christiansborg, where opposite Christiansborg Palace, where we started our morning, we took a stroll on the opposite side of the waterfront. This side of the bank was far less busy, so it was just great to appreciate the setting in this fabulous sunshine. which, crossing the bridge, brought us full circle to where we had ended our tour the day before. What a surprise! Ended up back in Nyhavn for one final drink. So after some liquid refreshment, we opted to squeeze in one last final sight before we headed back to get ready for dinner that evening. Excuse the traffic noise, so we are finally here, and I'm going to butcher the name here. So we are at the Vor Frelsers Kirkchurch. That was probably a train record pronunciation. My Danish friends are going to kill me for that. But we are heading up to that big steeple up there, and most importantly, that spiral staircase that goes all the way to the top. Not one for the faint-hearted, but the best views in Copenhagen. So you think it might be a bit dramatic, but they actually have a warning here and a flashing light too when the bells are going to ring. If you can see behind me, you won't want to be near that when it goes off. And above, even more and even larger bells you did not want to be around when that alarm goes off. The climb through the church tower started easily enough and intermixed with characterful rooms, but soon changed to tighter stairwells and ladders in many places as well. Some of these towards the end were near vertical, bringing you out onto the upper balcony below the steeple, where at least now you were rewarded with a view. But if we thought the bit before was challenging, the last section was sure to test your nerves. As for out of the 400 steps to the top, the last 150 are in a spiral staircase around the spire. So this is known as the Stairway to Heaven, or at least the circular bit up to the top. Makes the Rundetaarn look like a cakewalk, if I'm honest, so yeah, I think they've been a bit creative with the name. At 95 metres tall, it is still one of the tallest spires in Copenhagen. But it is the fact that you do the last section completely exposed to the elements on a ever narrowing circular staircase. Now that is running out of steps. I'm hoping you can hear this with the wind because it is pretty blustery up here. Look at that. Again, we had timed this to perfection as the bright sun was now setting low in the sky over this amazing view. So surprisingly, considering how high up we are, it actually feels a lot less precarious than I thought it would do. But yeah, if you have a fear of heights, this is probably not one for you, or strenuous exercise. So although a little more nerve and effort required, the summit being outside really made all the difference. So after returning to our hotel to freshen up, it was time to head back out again for our last dinner of the trip. Listed in the Michelin Guide, Hust restaurant consistently is ranked in the top eateries in Copenhagen, which is an achievement given the standard of the food scene in the city, with 74 restaurants in the guide and a further 24 Michelin stars over 15 restaurants, with the renowned Noma restaurant having 3 Michelin stars on its own and has won the Best Restaurant in the World award over multiple years. We got a prime window seat in this greenhouse and settled in for our first experience of new Nordic cuisine. This cuisine trend started with restaurants such as these, who used local produce, organic natural foods, and traditional older techniques such as marinating, smoking, and salting. We appreciate new Nordic cuisine might not be to everybody's taste. However, when in Copenhagen, and I'm pleased to say that the food lived up equally to the setting, with a diverse range of dishes, some of which we appreciated more than others, but all were excellent, and the variety of both dishes and courses made for a memorable dining experience. The food was on par with any of its famous rivals, but in a more casual and authentic setting, and most importantly, at a fraction of the price of its well-known peers. It was a perfect way to round off our final night of the trip, so we headed back to our hotel, Villa Copenhagen, but after so much indulgence, there was really only one thing to do. So some of us are going for a swim in the rooftop pool, but somebody's not going because they're a little bit on the chilly side. If you haven't yet watched, you can check out Villa Copenhagen in part 1 of this video series, where I went for an early morning swim in the hotel's signature feature, the only rooftop pool in Copenhagen. So it seemed only appropriate that we end the trip with a late night swim as well. Though despite my efforts, Lorraine could not be persuaded to partake in the experience, despite this incredible setting at night.
Is it warm?
It's not too bad. I'd say it's warm. It's not like a hot tub, but it's fine. Not selling it to you,
It
are
would have to be at least a hot tub for me to get in.
Sure we can't tempt you in?
No, not at all.
Get your big girl pants on, come on.
Look, really cold.
It's not what you're in.
Yeah.
Suffice to say, she was having none of it, which rounded off a fantastic, if hectic, weekend in Copenhagen, which I guarantee we will be coming back to, as still plenty more to discover. So if you haven't already, make sure you watch our first episode here, or alternatively another one of our destinations. But for now, thanks for watching.